Good morning. Welcome to another episode of the 1.2
It's been a
podcast. How
while.
you doing, Jack? It's
I'm
been
with
a
I'm with the
while, that
American
is for
man right
sure.
now, right?
You are, you are. Yes, my other studio, so to speak,
Oh,
sustained some water damage, so I'm back. I'm back at my other desk at the moment. Um, yeah, it turns out, and this is completely my fault, but when you put a refrigerator line into your refrigerator and you take the old line out, you should really cap the old line instead of just putting a valve on it because
yeah.
that valve might come open. So, and that might start leaking through your floor and that might destroy a bunch of your
Destroy. Is it
equipment.
like
So,
okay?
well, that's to be determined. I put it out, had to open up everything. We lit a couple of fires in the wood stove to kind of dry out the air and stuff like that. So it's been sitting for, probably about a month now almost. Um, and I'm just scared. Like it's one of those things
Yeah.
like, was it Schrodinger's cat, right? You don't know if it's dead until you open the box. I don't know if it's broken until I turn it on and try it out. And so I'm kind of like scared to turn it on, try it out because I don't
Do
want
you
to
believe in
acknowledge
karma?
that it's broken. I do. I do a little bit. Not really in a random chance sense, but I think God does
Right.
things from time to time. Yeah,
You know where I'm getting at with this, right? So,
I think
for all
so.
of our listeners, they might find this interesting that you had sent a video to me about the water issue that you were having, and I admittedly
Mm-hmm.
did not fully
Mm-hmm.
appreciate the extent of the damage to the music equipment and all of that. I
Yeah.
had just we had to
Right.
take some part of the wall
Right.
out, and not that I,
Right. I don't think I emphasized that. Oh,
yeah,
I've lost a
you
thousand
didn't,
dollars
but I
worth of
probably could have
music
assumed
equipment. I didn't
something
really
worse than.
include that.
But I kind of just brush it
Yeah.
off, like, I mean, kind of sucks. Don't really
Right.
care, and I don't mean
Right.
that. I don't mean that, and right.
It doesn't affect you.
And the loss wasn't, what it was. I'm
Right.
justifying my
Yes.
poor behavior here, but long story short, that same night I had water in my house and from my refrigerator ice maker line going through my floor, and
That's
that was
right.
completely
That's
my
right.
fault and karma. So
I'm just gonna start sending you videos of all the bad things that happen to me now, and
it can
see
probably go both
maybe
ways.
you'll
Let's go
start.
good videos too.
Maybe. Hey, that's a good point. That's a good point. You know, um, yeah, me playing with my kids and
You can send me
having
not a video
fun. Yeah,
of this because we're not going down that
no,
route, but
that's
just tell me that your son used the bathroom without going in his pants
uh, yeah,
because I'm trying to potty train, and
yeah,
so that would be if we could manifest that into
yeah.
reality.
Well, my youngest daughter yesterday or 2 days ago was playing outside. She runs in the house like clenched up. We're like, just go. You don't have to take off your boots. Run, run. She made it. She made it. So
We're
there's
just
hope.
getting to like two and a
There's hope.
half, and the number twos are getting
Right.
like not as fun
Yeah,
to clean
that's a
up.
bit
I mean,
much.
it's never fun, but I'll save the
There's a
graphics of it all.
when
But
you're going when you wait, when you go from like one
yeah,
wipey to
like
like four
we're
wipies,
using like
it's like
half the package. Yeah.
yeah, right, right, yeah. So well,
We weren't
so
going to talk
let
about
me
any
ask
of
you
this.
a question. Now that we're talking about yes, we're talking about your children though, and things like that. Um, are you familiar with
No.
Marie Kondo, the Asian lady who
Oh
goes
yeah.
into people's houses and
Yep. Yep.
cleans, simplifies their, the simplify all that. And her big thing is get rid of anything in your house that doesn't bring you joy, right? Right. So Jack, if Marie Kondo came to your house and you got rid of everything that doesn't bring you joy, what would be left in your
My
house?
family. That's pretty much it.
Family. Okay, that's a that's a good start. That's a good start. Have you ever thought of doing that? You kind of what's the trend? It was like simple living and simple life.
Yeah.
Minimalist. That was it. The minimalists, right?
No.
You ever thought about doing that? No.
But I'm just not
Fair
I'm not a
enough.
joyful person. Not a lot not a
So
lot
why
brings
why
me
do you think
joy.
that is, Jack? Why do you think that is,
Because
Jack?
other people live in this world and I have to interact with them.
So so really, what you need is a cabin on a lake in a remote area of
Actually, I mean not
Canada
really.
with just you and
So
your
this is
family.
weird. Like I I would say I'm a curmudgeon. Yeah, I'm generally
Okay.
not.
I
I
think
don't
there's an
think
age
so.
limit for curmudgeon, though.
Okay, we
Maybe
can
you're
we
like
can
a
go
pre-curmudgeon. Maybe you're a curmudgeon.
Well, if I
You're
have the
a
colon
curmudgeon
of a
trained.
70-year-old, I can have the disposition of a 70-year-old too, right?
I suppose. I suppose. I'll give. All right. So you're welcome to the
Yes.
early curmudgeon club.
So
All right.
if
All right.
I don't really like people that much,
Okay.
but
That's fair.
I am, if you take these tests or whatever, I'm actually an
Right.
extrovert. I don't like spending time
Hmm.
by myself, but I don't like people. So go psychoanalyze that. I think I can justify
Well,
it
you
as like I
you
have a
are,
very small circle.
or maybe. Have you
Yeah.
ever heard of Schadenfreude?
Hmm.
You familiar with that? So maybe your personality is such that you have to feed off of your
Maybe
distaste for others. So
that's a
not quite
really sad
Schadenfreude,
like
not.
way to live a life, isn't it?
It is. Yes, that would
So
be.
you're calling me
But we're
pathetic.
all made differently. Uh, no, curmudgeon.
I
You
mean,
can look
I'm
on that
full
word
hand
yourself.
up. I admit to
It's
that.
it's not. Well, sure, sure, and don't get me wrong. I have no particular love for the general public. Um, I've got plenty of people that I don't like interacting with as well. Um, but it's interesting that you know seems to affect your level of joy. Um, but let's take a step back. What is joy? Like let's define our terms, right? Because like
Okay.
you laugh, right? Like when you're hanging out, and like
I have been known to smile once or
yeah,
twice.
right. Is there a difference between happiness and joy and you know that type of thing?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I'm just not. I guess when I'm with, I have no problem, sitting down with some friends, having some drinks, and shooting the what. I mean
Hmm.
that's fun to me. Putting a game on, watching a game with some people.
Right.
I find
Ab-
joy in that.
is that joy or is that you having fun, having a
I said,
good time?
yeah. I mean, I don't.
I
I
think
I'm
is
having
there
a
a
difficult
difference?
time defining joy.
Is there a difference between that and like watching your son learn how to go on the potty, like an accomplishment for your family member? Right now, my older twin, if that makes any sense, by like seven minutes, is learning
Dude,
to
is that
walk.
what
Like
people
he's
with twins do? Like
I
they
don't know.
say
I'm still
older
filling this
twin
out.
or
I'm
okay.
still
That would
maybe I
be
should say one
confusing
of the
to me.
twins. I need to say one of the twins, but like
The better one.
to be determined. Um, So one of the twins is learning how to walk, right? And so and seeing that accomplishment, that next step, brings me, I would say, brings me joy, right?
Okay,
There's
the word I think of is pride when something
okay.
like that. I think that's I'm proud of that.
I would say that those in that situation for me, those two things are going together,
Okay.
right? Because the joy to me is a fulfillment and happiness that cannot be caused or created by I don't know, maybe just like this the typical fun type situation, right? It's almost like those not moments, but uh, the bigger picture level of contentment and happiness in life, or something like that.
Okay.
I'm not
If
sure.
that's how we're defining joy, the very, very few things bring me joy.
And that's fair.
Mhm.
That's fair. And I guess I should say I don't think you have to, um, be constantly being, joyful all the time, around people and stuff like that. I mean, I think, um, oh, we can get into theology later, but
Oh boy.
it says, yeah, the Bible says, that the joy of the Lord is your strength and things like that. I think, and maybe that is one of the categories that I could say, you know, all the time brings me joy is my relationship with God. Um, but it also says that I have no greater joy than to know that my children walk with the Spirit, or something along those lines. Basically, it's with your walking in truth. So maybe that's family related things, personal related things. When there's a life event or something like that, maybe that's more what I'm thinking when I think of joy. You know, versus just like, hey, had a good time, right?
Hmm.
Do you
Yeah.
think some people are just more joyful than others?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think
Have
that's a
to
good?
be. They have
You
to be
think
because
because you wouldn't want them to live like you?
I've got nothing.
Is there anything wrong with? Do you find yourself wishing that you were more joyful?
No, because I think it's fake.
Okay.
I think a lot of
Okay.
joy is fake and it's not genuine. I was just having this conversation yesterday, and I mean, we were using the word happy, but let's just substitute that for joy.
Sure.
There's these people that you always run into. They're always smiling. They're
Mm-hmm.
always seemingly on top of the world. And my
Mm-hmm.
comment is, there's no one that can be that happy. Like, why are you? It makes me immediately question their authenticity.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's wrong of me, but there's too much in this life to be concerned about, I think,
Right.
to be that happy. And I appreciate that I'm coming at this with a curmudgeon
Maybe a
view.
little jaded there.
Yes, but I just don't think you can be, and I don't want to seem like I said, my family brings me joy. And so the more I'm around them, the more joyful I am,
Yep.
right? And so I can be very joyful in certain moments and experience joy. And I'm not meaning this little rant to be, like, I don't like anything in my life sucks. It's horrible. I'm not that. But you can like lose me with the happy all the time. That's just not authentic.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way that's
Mm-hmm.
true. What are you hiding? That's where I'm immediately going. Like, what
Sure.
are you masking? What's going on in your life that you're faking this?
Yeah.
And I like I said, I shouldn't think that. Like, what do I care if someone wants to be happy all the time? That's their prerogative and has nothing to do with me. It's just I don't like fake people.
Yeah.
That
No, I
that
think
doesn't
that's
bring me
fair.
joy.
That's fair. Get them out of your house. All the
Yeah, it's like stop smiling.
that like laughter and happiness and stuff can like release endorphins and have like a positive effect on your health, right?
Sure.
Do you think I laugh too much?
Laughed. And it's mostly because I'm funny. Like that's why you're laughing. But
Well, yes, yes.
you're laughing
I'm
at me or
happy.
with me.
Yes.
Yes.
um, well, no. So it is interesting. It is interesting because I get what you're saying with kind of the fake happy and the people who are kind of happy all the time. And I feel like I've only met a handful of people who I could genuinely say, like, as I got to know them, like that happiness was authentic or that joy was authentic. And what I would say about those people is they fell on a spectrum, like one range or the other, one extreme or the other of their kind of like their spiritual beliefs. Like there was this one guy in West Virginia I knew, and just always so positive and always at church and always talking and always, and it was not a fake, and like he had his issues in life and he could be serious, but like just in general, just very joyful all the time, and and then and I believe it's because he had put all his faith in God, and then just was able to find joy in everything despite people's flaws and the hardships of the world. And then on the kind of complete other end of the spectrum, where people are kind of like nothing matters, there's no tomorrow, what is it, you only live once, and so I'm not gonna, what is it, water off a duck's back. I'm
Mm-hmm.
just gonna have live my best life, and and I don't know if that was authentic or not, or if it was like you said, kind of masking something or covering up, something on the deeper level. It was harder to tell with people like that. But those are the two ends of the spectrum, and then the rest of us serious people in the middle who can't just you know have all our faith give us joy every day, and yet we're aware of the how terrible the world is, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I have two examples I think of too, and they're sort of related. One is a person who had been through a life changing diagnosis,
Hmm.
and they're terminally ill,
Right.
right? And that song "Live Like You Were Dying,"
Yeah.
that
Right.
was them,
Yeah.
and just joy, just happy to be here, happy to have another day,
Right.
and that's a perspective that I don't have,
Right.
and I frankly hope to never have.
Yeah. Right.
Um, and so
Right.
I can't even comprehend or articulate how or why
Right.
that's the impact that has on someone.
Right.
Like I
Right.
would hope that I would be more appreciative of everything in my life and just find the joy
Right.
in everything
Right.
at that point. And I think I probably could. I don't, like I said, want to
Right.
ever have to deal with that, but if that's the reality, then I think there would be a closer connection, and I would find more joy. And the other is someone who had gone through a life changing event,
Right.
and that just completely changes your perspective. Probably a curmudgeon like me, and then you lose a child,
Right. Right.
which you never. I mean, it's not supposed to happen,
Right.
right? You're
Right.
supposed to outlive your or not
Yeah.
outlive your children.
Right. Right.
Again, hope I never have that perspective either. But
Right.
they found joy, and I would say more like that. That was one person who was always happy that I was not questioning why
Yeah.
or what they were hiding.
Right. Right.
And I don't know.
Uh,
And
I, I would say that as curmudgeon as you are, because you're not the ultimate curmudgeon, you do smiles from time to time. I'm probably on the other side of the spectrum from you. I'm pretty, happy and joyful and upbeat, optimistic. I'd use the word optimistic.
mhm,
Um, and I do think it does have to do with that second, the loss thing, because I have experienced not the loss of a child, but loss of a brother. Right, I've gotten that phone call,
yep,
and I've found myself thinking when someone has given me some bad news, or so my wife goes, "Oh, we're broken down," or this happened, or that happened. Like I've literally thought, like, well, at least no one's dead.
Yeah.
right? Like this could be worse. Like literally, this could be worse. Someone could be
Hmm.
dead. So I'm not going to sweat about it because no one's dead at this point, right? And so I think there is something to that. You know, our experiences can um, contextualize how we view the world, how we view things that are going on around us.
Yeah, and I mean, you and I have had this conversation before. It's something I'm mindful of.
Hmm.
And like I said before, I don't want to come across as the but woe me. I'm my like that's I don't believe that. I
Well,
don't
no,
believe that one bit.
and I don't get that vibe from you, right? Like when we talk and you're just like, being your curmudgeon self or something, it's never a victim
Yeah,
mentality type curmudgeon, um, which I do see that a lot, right? That's probably my least favorite kind of curmudgeon, right? The
exactly. Yeah.
woe is me, right? So I
Hmm.
no, I you do not come off as a victimy curmudgeon, just kind of like
Good. Thank you.
the grumpy old men, kind of like, why are you so busy having fun?
Hmm.
What's the sense of doing? Kind of that type of.
And mine is always if I had to describe my curmudgeonness or my anxiety, I suppose it is always forward looking. Like
Okay, so almost like an
what
anxiety induced type thing.
almost yeah. Like I don't want to be. My biggest fear is like being comfortable in success, if that makes sense. Like
You will never have
I
a
don't want
false
to
sense of security because you never want to feel secure.
right. I don't want to, sit back and rest on my laurels.
Hmm.
And yeah, I'm like, you know what? I've done I'm doing well. I'm 29 years old. I've got a beautiful wife, a beautiful family, a good job. Everything in my life is going well
Right.
because it can change in a moment. And I'm always like, that's consciously like in the back of my mind and driving my curmudgeonness. Like,
Right.
does I
Right.
don't know if that makes sense at all, but it's like
Oh, sure.
what's out there?
Sure.
What's out there that I don't know about that should be that could impact my life, that is impacting my life, that should make me not appreciate this because there's the hammer is coming down tomorrow, or something is coming that this is all gone.
Right. Right.
Not
I,
all gone, but that I don't know. That's the best way
yeah.
I can articulate it.
Sure. Sure. I can understand that. I can understand that because the minute you let down your guard, right, that's when something bad would happen,
Right.
or if you're just too caught up in it, you might miss something, whatever it is. Sure.
So I think it's easier for me, more convenient for me, and this is entirely selfish. I recognize that, to just put the blinders on and just keep steaming. Like,
So your lack of joy is a defense mechanism.
there you go. That's a good. I think that I would agree with that because I should be joyful about more things. I just explained all the
Hmm.
things
Yeah.
that I should
Yeah.
be joyful about and that do bring me joy.
Yeah. Right.
And
Right.
I am trying to be better about compartmentalizing certain things. Like,
Right.
and when I mean like, I think that can be a negative word, but I mean it in a positive way,
Yeah.
that I
Right.
can take the joy that I do have and focus just on that.
Right. Right.
And all this other stuff is always going to be out there going on.
Right.
And if I just focus on my joy, I can have a day where I'm happy and I'm
Right.
joyful.
Right.
And we can
Yeah.
deal with the other stuff tomorrow.
Well, yes. And I think that is important, particularly when your children are young, right? Because they'll pick up on those things. Children are incredibly intuitive and perceptive, right? And you don't want them to see you being too curmudgeony. A little curmudgeon, I think, is healthy, right? I believe.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I think, but no, I would say it's probably a good thing to try to be joyful around the children. I think if your children see you taking joy in your wife, right, or in their siblings, they will follow suit,
Yeah.
right? So I agree that that's
And
probably a good
I
thing
think
to.
all of parenting to me is modeling, right?
Right, right,
You have modeling good behaviors, modeling bad behaviors, and I
right,
I don't I don't want them, like, as much as you want your child to be like you, or I
right.
mean, I want them to be better than me,
Yeah,
and
right.
I want them. I don't want them. And this is sounding a little victimy, but like, I don't want them to be burdened by the curmudgeonness like I sometimes am.
Right, right. But you don't want them to be naive either. You don't want them to think that the world is
Yeah, like,
just
wake up,
butterflies
come
and
on, let's
rainbows.
go. It's not all great. It's not all perfect. That person that's
Right.
smiling all the time is not really happy.
So that's funny. When I was homeschooled until seventh grade, right? So not a whole lot of socialization, and I did have a lot of preconceived ideas of society based on just movies, right? And in movies, like the good guy always wins and the nice
Hmm.
person is always, and so I did kind of, when I first got to school, everyone was nice to me. And I thought, oh, they're all my friends. They're not going to like talk about me behind my back or, do anything to betray me or things like that. And yeah, I found out the hard way, not too many, as any seventh grader can, right?
Come on, you're the homeschool kid. They're talking about you.
Oh, and absolutely, that's the thing, which I didn't think about. I just thought, oh, if I'm nice to them, they will be nice to me, and everything will work out great, just like in all the movies that I ever watched, right? So I didn't know how the real world worked. So yeah, there's you gotta balance your joy with the reality that we live in. You know, a broken world with broken people, and a lot of those people will try to appear maybe better than they are, right? So I agree. I think there's too many people who pretend to be happy and joyful all the time, and at the same time, maybe some of us should be a little more joyful.
Talking to me.
I'm talking to people. I'm talking to all our listeners.
Yeah, I was gonna say no one else is listening.
Yes. So
Okay.
well, there we go. There we go. Be joyful. Find joy in the little things.
Be good, don't take care.